This is the sound of crowd science.
We shoot a laser beam at this atom.
Is that a big canister of oxygen in the background?
Oh, there's a wasp in there.
Yep.
That's possibly the most disgusting thing I've heard this week.
But it's one of the nicest fun facts you're going to hear today.
So here I'm actually holding a donut.
What are you going to do with that?
Find out more at the end of this podcast.
Thank you for downloading the Witness History podcast from the BBC World Service with me, Josephine McDermott. Today I'm bringing you the story of the pet hippos left behind in Colombia when Pablo Escobar, one of the richest criminals in history, was killed. I've been speaking to vet Carlos Valderrama, who was the first person to castrate one of the problem hippos. It's 2007, and the authorities in Colombia are receiving strange reports from the public.
The environmental ministry received a message from a local community that an odd creature was just coming out from the lakes and from the rivers at night time, and it was very odd. The description was a very massive animal, big teeth, yellow eyes and small ears. People was actually very scared and trying just to find out what animal it was.
Pablo Escobar was shot dead by police in December 1993. He'd been on the run for over a year. During the 1980s, he'd built $1 billion cocaine empire. He and his Medellin cartel murdered an estimated 4,000 people. They terrorised the country, even bombing an airliner in a failed attempt to kill a presidential candidate. News of the shootout with police that finally led to Escobar's death made headlines around the world.
Drug king, who was for years one of the world's most wanted men, was gunned down.
Cornered in a luxury villa in the city of Medellin, Escobar had tried to flee over the rooftops. He was gunned down by members of a 500-strong police task force.
Gaviria, is it true? Is Pablo Escobar really dead?
Yes, Pablo Escobar is dead.
But what's this got to do with a mysterious creature being reported 15 years later? Escobar had created a fantasy land for himself in the hills between Medellin and the Colombian capital, Bogotá. Hacienda Nápoles was his ranch. It was 22 square kilometres. He entertained models, movie stars and politicians there. He had concrete dinosaurs, a bullfighting ring, 2 swimming pools, a vintage car collection, an airstrip and a zoo. To try and win locals over, the public could visit the animals for free. He'd smuggled into the country rhinos, giraffes, elephants, kangaroos, and 6 hippos. When Escobar was killed, the authorities confiscated the house. The animals were rehoused in zoos, but not all the hippos.
Hippos are very difficult to handle. Some of them were moved to private zoos, and some of them, they didn't find them. They are massive, yes, but because they are underwater most of the time, you don't see them really. There was a tale that one of them was captured, put in a truck, and he managed to collapse the truck, tipped it over, and it escaped again. I'm not surprised why they were just left like something that you want to actually forget about and just resume afterwards when they show up again.
And now, in 2007, they had showed up again. The strange animal, locals reported, turned out to be a male hippo. This meant they were no longer contained within Hacienda Nápoles. They had entered the Magdalena River, one of the country's main waterways, and this one had made it 100 kilometres from Escobar's ranch.
They move a lot, and they use the rivers as highways, so they could move kilometres in one day.
The hippos had multiplied. There were now 28 living in the ranch.
They live in a very difficult environment with droughts in Africa. Colombia is a heaven for them. We have plenty of water all year round. You have a lot of grass for them to eat. They did very well.
Too well, in fact. Something had to be done. The authorities called a meeting with wild animal experts, and that's where Carlos came in.
It was a big meeting with many NGOs from Colombia that work with different animals.
Until the point where you were brought in to look at the hippo problem, what were the kind of animals that you were working with in the wild?
Mainly jaguars, pumas and spectacled bears, with a very different animal, like 40 times bigger.
For 2 years, they tried to rehome the hippo, which had escaped into the Magdalena River. Then it started chasing the boats of local fishermen and killed 7 calves.
Because he was putting at risk people, we decided to sacrifice that individual.
The decision to kill the hippo, which the press called Pepe, was very unpopular with the public at large. And now there was another problem.
We learned there was another male hippo that left already the Hacienda Nápoles, but it was in the vicinity. We said, okay, we can try capture this one, castrate it, and send it back to Hacienda Nápoles.
This one was given the name Napolitano.
He was around 3,500 kilos, so 3.5 tons, with 10 centimeters teeth. He charged us many times.
Carlos would lead a team of 7 vets. They would use a backhoe digger to lift the animal, and then once the operation was complete, the army would be involved.
Your big challenge is not actually the castration. That's difficult because they have internal testicles. You have to go through a skin that is around 2-3 centimeters thick, so it's actually like a bulletproof vest. And then you have to go to a 8 centimeters layer of fat. So just going into that is difficult enough. And hippos are very difficult to anesthetize. They die easily under anesthesia.
How did you feel?
From a personal point of view, it was very stressful. We knew that we were doing the right thing, but we have all these animal rights activists against us because we sacrificed one of them. But we only have a 50% chance to be able to do it properly without the animal dying.
50%?
Yes, because we have to put 5 dots to be able to anesthetize it. After the first dot, he starts running. He can go into a lake and drown under anesthesia. Then we have the risk that if the animal stays in a position where the lungs get collapsed because he's on weight, he will suffocate. If we don't move him properly, we can make him fracture. And then you have to castrate the hippo. It had never been done in the wild.
The whole thing took 12 hours.
We were very happy because he was alive. We managed to castrate it. If like all that wasn't difficult enough, we are in the middle of a marshland with mountains. So you cannot bring a big truck. So when the army saved the day is because they actually send a helicopter. So with the backhoe, we put it in a net. And then with the helicopter, we put it back in the Hacienda Nápoles. And from there, we could bring one of these trucks just to carry this massive cage with the hippo inside to be released back again in the Hacienda Nápoles.
It marked a kind of homecoming for Carlos too.
Actually, I was in Hacienda Nápoles when I was young. We stopped and they said, one person here built a fantastic safari park and you are allowed to get in for free. We went in, we saw giraffes. We couldn't see the hippos actually.
Could you have ever imagined that you would be the person having a key role in trying to sort out the problem left?
No, even imagine that I will be involved with all animals. In that moment, I was too young.
After the successful castration in 2011, the authorities decided more research should be done before others were carried out, partly because it was so controversial. It's estimated there could be up to 120 hippos now, the biggest herd outside Africa. It's been called an ecological time bomb. The hippos have been classified as an invasive species, and the Environmental Agency is trying things like injecting the hippos with contraceptives. For Carlos, it's just part of Escobar's grim legacy.
This is one of many problems that he left us. Unfortunately, I have to live through his time, and it was a very difficult time for us. But we are resilient, and we will try our best to solve this situation.
Carlos Valderrama is Director of Veterinary Medicine at the non-governmental organisation Web Conserva in Colombia. He was talking to me, Josephine McDermott, for that edition of the Witness History podcast.
Wait, so you said you genetically engineered yourself?
I put a foreign piece of DNA inside my cells.
Wow! Crowd Science is the podcast that takes your questions about life and the world around us and goes in search of the answers.
What happens to bugs during the winter?
Oh, there's a wasp in there.
Yeah. Just search for Crowd Science wherever you found this podcast.